welcome back to Run Level 0. Today we're going to continue in our next episode covering the Klingon story arc in Star Trek Online. Before we get started though, it says our next goal here is to go to sector space, but we have reached level 5 and that means that we have our first skill points to spend. So we're going to click on purchase skills, and here we see our skill tree. Now as our captain increases in levels, it's going to get several points to spend on this tree where we can purchase skills. Now skills are broken down into space and ground, and today you can see we have 1 space point and 1 ground point to spend. Now as far as ground, of course this is obviously going to affect ground combat, and our options available are going to be weapon proficiency tree, and the weapon tree is, like it says, is going to affect the damage and effectiveness of our ground weapons. We also have an endurance training tree, and this is going to affect our character's health. A kit performance expert tree, or a kit tree, and this is going to affect how our kit performs, and our kit again is basically the powers that we're going to give our captain to use on the ground. And then finally we have a personal shield tree, and this is going to affect the strength and replenishment of our shields. So basically what you're looking at here in the upper right and lower left is your tanking ability. This is how much damage you can take before succumbing. In the upper left and lower right, this is your combat effectiveness pair. Most people, the rule of thumb is upper left, lower right, carry a hypo spray. And what that's going to mean is you can carry consumables to replenish your health. Most people will opt to go full upper left, full lower right to maximize your weapon damage and maximize your kit performance, which is going to make it possible for you to really nuke down the enemies as quick as possible and thus improve your survivability. So since we have 1 point to take, I'm going to place it first in my weapon proficiency, and that's going to give me a damage increase of 30% on my ground weapons. So when I click here, I'm going to click purchase, confirm it, okay, and that's going to open up, each time you purchase on ground, it's going to open up an additional slot where you can choose another bonus to your character. This first one is going to be science training. You can choose bridge officer training. You can either choose to make hyperspray diaboline 3 or medical tricorder 3. I tend to always, for science, go with medical tricorder. This is going to allow us to create a training manual with which we can train our bridge officers to have this ability. So that will allow our bridge officers, our science bridge officers, to heal us in combat. So that's going to help mitigate some of the survival loss that we're going to have up here. Alright, so let's go over to our space traits. This is a science captain, so we're going to focus heavily on the science tree. But first and foremost, there are a few things that are really universal. I'm not really going to get into an in-depth tree build. It's just that what I recommend you start at, especially when you're beginning out, is with your energy weapon training. That's going to help your energy weapons on your starship maximize their damage, and I would always recommend putting 3 points there. So each time you unlock one of these costs 1 point, and it's going to increase the effectiveness of that particular trait. So we're going to start out with energy weapon training, and we're going to purchase and click OK. So now we have a 25% damage increase for our space weapons. Alright. Oh, and on the ground, before we started this video, I did give Sleestak some more uniform options, so it looks a little bit different, that's why. So let's click to go to sector space, park the system here. Follow the shuttle to the Boreth system. So on your mission log up here, you have a couple of options. To the left of the mission title, you can click to hail, and it'll, if you ever forget what the mission objectives are, what your rewards are, when you hail, it'll bring up the tutorial for that mission, what you're trying to do. And it looks like when we win this mission, when we complete it, we're going to get some shields, a warp core, some dilithium experience expertise. We're going to get a Gorn science officer for our bridge crew / ground crew. Also, you can click this little icon here and it will automatically plot a course to that system. And if you have enough energy credits, you can transwarp to it that will take you to that place automatically without having to travel through sector space. So I would require 10,772 energy credits to transwarp. But if you click, you will automatically pilot there. So I will probably go ahead and pause the video at this point, and we'll pick it back up as soon as we have reached the Boreth system. All right. Early on in your career, especially when your captain has a low-level warp core, travel through sector space can be tedious. It can take you a little while to travel from one star system to another. Now that will get better. It'll get better as you go up in levels. You'll get the ability to do what's called a transwarp, and that's pretty much an instantaneous travel from one part of the galaxy to another. You won't be able to hit every system you want to, but you'll at least be able to transwarp closer to your final destination, and then your higher level warp cores will facilitate faster and faster speed in sector space. But early on, it's just a fact you're gonna have to get used to a little bit as far as taking your time getting from one place to another. Also, as you go up in level and as you play Star Trek Online for a while, you're going to encounter weekend events and holiday events and different giveaways that will create what's known as account unlocks. And that's going to be special items, special ships even, that will become available to every character on your account, even ones that you haven't created yet. And I've been playing for a while, and what I've been thinking I'm going to do is actually take advantage of some of those benefits that I have and reclaim a few items to kit Sleestak with a few items that are available to him. So if I go into my dilithium store, special items and boxes, and we go into reclaim, this will show some account reclaims that are available for me. And the first in here being the Bozeman Hyper Impulse engine. I click buy, and that will be mine to claim. So now I have a better impulse engine, and that's going to actually help me in system space, not necessarily travel through sector space. You have two different types of space. Where we are now is called sector space, and that's where you travel between star systems. And then system space, when you click continue space chase here, it'll take you into the Boreth system proper, and that's usually where the missions occurs, within system space. So another place I want to go is I click on my character status, reputation, events, and then I can go into the events store. And this is where I can get my account reclaim items. And you can see through the years of playing, I have unlocked several ships. These are all tier 6. I can't play these yet. I won't be able to play these until I reach level 50. Let's see, there's nothing really for me in here yet. But if I go to weekend event, you can see that there are a few things that are available to me in here. I'm going to reclaim my prolonged engagement powered dynamo. This was just made available last weekend. My Sompact Blast Assault, that's a weapon that's available to me. My reiterative structural capacitor. My prolonged engagement phaser dual cannons. Now, Klingons are typically disruptor-based society, but the reason I'm taking these phasers, they're a good weapon. The longer I stay in combat, the more powerful they become. If you look at the little symbol here, it's a little infinity symbol. That means that they're going to level up with me, so I won't have to change out my weapons as often. That, for me, that's going to be a big bonus. And I'll also have a set bonus for these two, the prolonged engagement powered dynamo and the prolonged engagement phaser dual cannons go together, and when you equip them both on your ship, you get a bonus. So I'm going to take advantage of that while Sleestak is leveling. Now, when he does reach top tier, or reach probably about level 40, 45, I will go ahead and switch him over to a disruptor build just to remain canon with him. And I'm going to take my Sleestak Lightning module. This coming weekend, the first weekend in May of 2018, there's another Sleestak event, and I'll probably do a video of that event. And these weekend events, they give you account unlock items. You perform the event once a day for 3 days with a character that's at least level 10, and it will unlock another item. So this time next week, I'll have something else to unlock for Sleestak. It's a pair of fighting gloves this week, I believe. Alright, so we'll close out of this. Go back over to our status. Look at Sleestak, and now what I'm going to do is take this Disruptor Pulse Wave. If I click on it, you can see my Sleestak Blast Assault is now available. So I'll equip it. Come into my kit modules, click an open spot, and I'll equip my Sleestak Lightning. This is a nice area of effect damage event, or damage kit module. We'll highlight the ship now, and I will click on my 4 weapons here and engage my prolonged engagement phaser dual cannons. Alright, so if I click on an engineering spot, I'm going to put my prolonged engagement powered dynamo in one, and in the other I'm going to put my reiterative structural capacitor. These are both universal slots, which mean, or universal consoles, which mean they can go in any slot. So the next thing we'll have to get is a tactical console that will boost phaser damage. If I right click on one of the prolonged engagements pieces, click more details, you can see that by having the 2-piece equipped, I get a 7.5% recharge time on all bridge officer abilities, so my bridge officer abilities will cool down faster. So now we have a bit of an edge. Oh, forgot one thing. Go back to the Derpak. We will click on our impulse engines and equip the Bozeman Hyper Impulse engines. Now these are at Mark II, but they should get a free upgrade to Mark 12. And when I equip that, spin the ship around, you can see now I get a visual. If you don't like the visual effects of some of the special pieces, you can right click it and disable visuals and it will go away. I think we're going to leave these enabled though. Alright, let's get on with the mission. Almost feels like heresy having those phasers on this bird of prey. Alright, Captain, the warp trail ends here. What are your orders? We can scan every inch of the system until we find him, or put out a wide band hail on all channels. I want to let him know who he's dealing with. Yeah, that sounds pretty Klingon. Let's do that. Opening hailing frequencies. He's out there, he'll hear us. Kapla. Recommend modifying navigational beacons in the system. Amplify efforts. Okay, so let's move to Nav 1. You can see it here. Now these engines I have equipped are built for speed, but they do hinder the turning radius. So we can close this distance pretty well. And if you notice the shimmy to the camera, that's actually part of the visual effects. So we move on to another beacon. If we, let's right click, disable visuals. Looks like it might be a bug there. Oh no, okay. Well, looks like it may be a bug. We've disabled visuals on these engines, trying to get rid of that shimmy, but it's still there. So I may have to file a bug report on that. Yeah, that shimmy's going to get on my nerves a little bit. So what we're going to do, kill our speed. Let's go ahead and put the standard impulse engines back on. That's better. Now for the two consoles that we have equipped, we now have a couple of clickies that we can use down here. Prolonged engagement, power proliferation. So for when I click it, it removes all stacks of power dynamo, and then it increases our power level for 20 seconds. The power dynamo is a passive. As we're in combat, our power levels will go up. And then the other is the reiterative structural capacitor, and it's a heal to ourself and allies within 4 kilometers. On a bird of prey, that's going to be, any raider class vessel, it's going to be pretty big, because they tend to be a bit squishy. Oh, we found him. Let's hail him.
You? I am impressed. I thought Doran was the right choice for command, but apparently even I can be wrong. The KDF will do well with you in their ranks. You have the tenacity of a rabid targ.
Cut the flattery and cut your engines. We're going back to Kronos with me.
As much as I might deserve to rot in a Klingon jail cell and be interrogated to within an inch of my life on a daily basis, I have unfinished business. It's time I was going.
I'll follow you to Earth itself if that's what it takes.
I don't doubt that you would. However, I always have an escape plan. I've planted a tiny subroutine in all Starfleet computers. If any vessel arrives in the Boreth system, their sensors will pick up distress beacons from dozens of destroyed Starfleet starships. In addition, when we started this conversation, I sent out a few false maydays from these phantom vessels. Ships are already responding. You've proven yourself to be a skilled warrior already, so I'm sure you know that Kalis said it was acceptable to lose a battle to save an empire, or a ship. I suggest you leave before Starfleet arrives.
Federation ships are hailing us. Put them on screen.
Klingon bird of prey, power down your weapons and shields, and prepare to be boarded.
Your ship is the one violating Klingon space. You should surrender.
Our sensors are detecting several Federation distress beacons in this area. This trap is obviously your handiwork. Surrender now, or we will be forced to open fire.
If you want distress beacons, I suggest you prepare to activate your own battle stations. I mean, come on, the dude says he's detecting distress signals. Does he see any ships in distress? Blind Federation dog.
Target's shields have failed.
Behind this guy. Try to come at this guy from a better angle of attack, get it behind him, take advantage of the raider flanking. Looks like they dropped a Hyper Impulse Engine Mark 1. So this is a rare, or an uncommon, rather, engine. And it's actually better than the one that we have equipped now, so we'll go ahead and swap that out. I like the Bozeman, but the visuals are kind of annoying on it right now. Oh, look, more threads to kill. I think we're just going to go all in on these folks. Now, an option that I would have would be to pull the torpedo off the front of the ship and replace it with those other disruptor cannons. It's not typically recommended to mix energy types. For example, phasers and disruptors. But when you're looking at torpedoes, they deal a type of damage that's called kinetic. Shields have an innate 75% kinetic damage resistance, whereas the energy weapons will deal their maximum damage with the shields. So by having two sets of cannons on the front, especially at low levels like this, it really wouldn't be, it would probably be beneficial for me to have all energy weapons on the ship. When you fire mixed energy weapon types, it also you also take a hit to your power levels, but that's a topic for another video. Alright, so we're ready to leave the system on your command. Let's leave this system. It looks like the Patak has escaped us.
From the heart of Kronos to the frozen wastes of Rurapenthe, the Klingons have built an empire that values strength, honor, and skill in combat.
It
To
is
be Klingon
unfortunate that the
is to be a
prisoner
warrior.
has eluded your
Fight
search.
well, live with honor,
Said,
die
you
with a
did
blade in your
uncover a
hand.
Federation spy
If you can do
nest in
these
the heart
things,
of
you will
First
live
City.
forever in the stories of the great
Deciphered their
Klingon
infiltration
heroes.
techniques and are cracking down on their spy network within the Empire. One of my prison guards was impressed with your tenacity and asked to be reassigned to your crew. You would be wise to accept.
Okay, so that was a little awkward. The first voiceover was actually Leonard Nimoy, and you'll run into his voiceovers as you enter different systems, different areas of the map for the first time. So basically the prisoner escaped from us, but we did uncover the spy nest in the heart of First City. So even though we lost the prisoner, we succeeded in the mission. And it looks like we're going to be getting that Gorn guard as a member of our crew. Alright. Again, shield array and even better engines.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
So now we're getting Thrak, our science officer. So what I think I'm going to do here is rename him. I really don't care for the name Thrak. This guy's name is going to be Darin. Okay. And we'll leave his default look for now. Alright. So, Manhunt. Let's accept this mission.
We have identified the Federation prisoner you've been chasing. His name is Franklin Drake. Some of our sources say he's a Starfleet intelligence agent, but there are hints that he's much more. From what I can tell, he's not part of the normal chain of command. Previously, we didn't have any images or genetic samples from him, which is why he was so hard to identify. Now, we'll be on him the second he shows his face again. We already have a lead for you to follow. Records indicate a Klingon shuttle entered space above the Rurapenthe penal colony. That system is restricted, and there was no traffic scheduled for today. You are authorized by the High Council to approach the system and determine if Drake is there. Bring him back alive, if you can.
Alright. So we have accepted our next mission in the Klingon story arc. We're going to tie this video up here. We'll pick it up next time and travel to Rurapenthe. If you have watched the Star Trek movies, Rurapenthe was featured in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. And this is where Bones and Kirk were sent when they were imprisoned. Alright, so we will pick this up next time. Thank you for joining me today, and hope to see you for the next episode.